Okay, I'm gonna try and get through this without the dog barking this time. Right. Hello, my name is Yaz. Welcome to my channel. I'm going to talk about this dog who's behind the camera because I want to share my experience of how to get rid of, well, not rid, you can't get rid of hyperkeartosis, but how to help things like hyperkeartosis and dogs that have sore paws. I'm going to dive into what might be the cause of that, what to look out for, and if you can hear that, it is Dexter in the background drinking water. He might interrupt me, we just have to do it. So yeah, I'm going to do a bunch of videos about my experience with the dog and things that I found that have helped his behaviour and various health issues and ideas for enrichment. So if that sounds like your kind of thing, please like and share, subscribe, comment, whatever, anything. This is all for Dexter's medical bill and for his further treatment, so it's for a good cause. Please just do it. Thank you. So I will get into it. I am cringing hard after that, so self-promotion is never easy. I'm gonna tell you about, don't worry, it's just symptom. As if you'd be worried. Okay, coming up. Okay, so for Dexter, when I rescued him, I noticed that he had really sore paws. He was always gnawing at them, he wouldn't let me touch them, so I will cover that today. If your dog won't let you touch their paws, I can still help you, hopefully. So yeah, I definitely have helped Dexter, and he's not on steroids for it. He's not on any pharmaceutical drugs for the management of his paws. I'm not saying your dog will be the same, but you know, if it's hyperkeratosis, I can definitely help. Yeah, so Dexter's breed is a dog to Bordeaux cross with an American bully. Bull breeds and large dogs are prone to hyperkeratosis, which is essentially the overgrowth of like protein when the cells repopulate, and it basically leads to the skin being like quite fibrous, very rough and very tough. So when their weight presses through their paws, there's no flexibility in the skin, which causes the rest of the skin that isn't so badly affected, it's asking that skin to be more flexible than it is, and you might have cracks, weeping, secondary yeast infections are common, soreness, balding, over grooming, and just generally a very upset dog. They might be waking up in the night and gnawing at their paws. It could be disrupting your sleep as well as theirs, so it's just bad overall. So yeah, just again, in case I haven't said, I'm not a vet, I'm not in any way trained, I am just sharing what's worked for us, and I really hope it works for you too. So yeah, first of all, when I had Dexter, unfortunately he did have a secondary yeast infection, and I think that was from the over grooming. And also one of the first things I did was I actually sent away some of his fur for a food sensitivity test. It was really cheap. It was £50 for 2 dogs. Me and my friend went in together and did it. So if you've got multiple dogs, that would really work for you. Or if you've got a buddy with a dog who's also got some issues, maybe with getting lots of yeast infections in their ears, or you know, rashes or anything like that, itchy skin, sore paws, and you're thinking it might be something in their food, then go ahead and do it. It was really cheap, it was very specific, and I was are you sure, when I had the results back. And he's not got much fur at all actually, so it was quite hard to get enough hairs for the test. Yeah, so it does, yeah, it has worked. I've made the adjustments. It wasn't just his diet, it was things like he's actually allergic to grass, he's allergic to dandelions, he's allergic to pine specifically, so no pine disinfectant, just little things that you might not have thought of. He was actually allergic to the rug I had a shaggy acrylic rug, and he's allergic to acrylic. So I cut out everything, but he did have a secondary yeast infection, and the signs of that, at least for him, was in the nail bed. There was like a dark burgundy kind of reddish waxy substance seemingly coming out of the nail bed. They were very, very itchy, and he also had like burgundy eye gunk. So yeah, I did have to treat the yeast infection. So if you do a sensitivity test and you cut out things in their diet or their environment that are irritating them, don't expect it to just solve everything. If they have a secondary yeast infection, Google the symptoms of that and get that treated. Lots of vets do navigate towards steroids, and after some research I learned that steroids can make yeast infections worse. So if you do your research and you also suspect that your dog has that secondary yeast infection, ask your vet to test for that or to treat it. So yeah, so we did that and it helped a little bit, but there was still the issue of the paws. They were so irritating him. It just got rid of this gunk and they weren't quite so inflamed. So what I did next, and this was really, I found this was what really worked. Now again, at the time, Dexter did not let me touch his paws, so I had to get creative, and he really likes playing hose pipe. He likes chasing the hose pipe and biting at the water. So I put a tarp, like a tarpaulin, I don't know what it's called in other countries, so maybe like a big waterproof sheet. I had one anyway, and I put it outside and put like Hibby scrub, which the vet did warn me about this. They said you could get the ratio, you know, that's kind of, you might not get the ratio right by doing this, and she actually recommended getting the wipes with the same ingredients in. So she was still of the opinion that this was the right thing to do, but maybe not the way I did it. So I'd put some Hibby scrub on the mat and I would play hose pipe, and he would run around in the solution and it would clean his paws, because again at the time he wouldn't let me touch them. And I'm going to give you loads of tips for that in this video. So then as like a, you can do this as like a maintenance thing forever anyway, but sometimes I would put like bicarbonate soda on the mat, not at the same time as Hibby scrub, but instead of. So I would use bicarb, and that can bring the allergens down. So for example, Dexter's allergic to grass, which is really unhelpful. So sometimes I will put, you know, if he seems like, oh, there might be a flare up come in, then I will put some bicarb on the tarp outside, play hose pipe, and he's none the wiser. He's jumping around and washing his own paws. It is perfect. Yeah. So something that I found out on YouTube, actually, there's a vet on YouTube that does a bunch of holistic remedies and offers information about what human medications can be used for dogs. I will put that link in the description. But something that a really good tip actually was using sunflower oil. Now be careful with this, don't do it indoors, it will be a mess. I would recommend getting, say, like a bin liner, any kind of recycling liner, and maybe put in some of the oil on there, and after they've washed their paws, letting them just simply walk over that. It's better to do it outside, not only for the grip, but also because, yeah, you don't want oil all over your house. So the reason sunflower oil is really useful, you can even put a little bit in their food, according to the video that I will link. Yeah, the reason why that is so good is because it actually helps repair like the skin barrier. So over time it can help protect their skin, all of their coat and their paws, from environmental triggers to allergies. And then over time, now I can actually touch Dexter's paws, which is really, really good, because the next tip is the best of them all, which is using shea butter. Shea butter contains a certain acid, which is a natural exfoliant, and one of the issues with hyperkeartosis, so if they have got that grainy hair-like kind of skin growth on their paws. It can be a bit yellowy as well. Yeah, that, where was I? Sorry, ADHD. I'm not editing this out, no way. So, what is it? Shea butter. Yes, okay. So shea butter, it's got a natural exfoliant. Just like our skin, if we've got really dry skin, it's really hard to moisturize if we don't exfoliate a little bit first. So as long as their skin isn't broken, then I would recommend taking them for a walk on like hard, the normal pavement to try and like wear some of that down. Now Dexter's literally to the point I can hold his paw and I can get a pumice stone and give it a bit of a pumice before applying that shea butter. So there's a natural exfoliant in the shea butter. It helps digest some of that soft tissue, and the goal is to get under that first skin layer and into the rest of the pad. And this is something that you'll need to do forever. There is no cure for hyperkeratosis. It is a chronic condition. You see it a lot with bulldogs, where they have that on their nose. Some of you watching this might have a dog that also has hyperkeratosis on their nose. So it's the same condition where it dries and goes hair-like. And sorry, I didn't do my nails. Yeah, so it is the same condition, but some dogs don't actually have it on their paws and their nose, fortunately for them. I hope that your your dog named Doug doesn't have that issue. And then, so just rounding it off, something I wanted to add in is the reason why Dexter now is okay with me touching his paws. Now keep in mind, when I first had him, he would literally go for me if I touched his paws. They were so sore and he didn't trust me. So what I recommend doing is, if your dog doesn't already know how to give paw, then teach them, and then get some of the sunflower oil. You could also use coconut oil. Again, the best is shea butter because of that exfoliant in there. Just rub it into your hands and then get their favorite treats. Ask them to sit, pretend like nothing's happening. Just sit, here you go. And then get them to give the paw and go, thank you. Quickly, just rub it into their paw and they are none the wiser. I mean, obviously that means you're not going to get their back paws, but for now, doing that is better to start, and they learn, oh, that wasn't so bad. Shea butter is completely safe for them to lick it off. I wouldn't be giving them big chunks of it. They do quite like it, but I wouldn't be giving them big chunks of it. Same with coconut oil, totally safe for them to lick it off, but don't be giving them big chunks of it. Yeah, and if you want to check any of this over with a vet, then go ahead. Where am I? That's it. Yeah, and then so that's really helped Dexter. I'm going to put a picture in here somewhere of how they're looking today, and I'll be really honest, I don't put the shea butter on every day anymore, and I probably should, but life is very busy, so it is hard to keep all the plates spinning, and I should put it on every day, and I will definitely put it on tonight because I'm going to remember. But I'll be really honest, I'll show you a picture of how they are just today, and at the moment I put shea butter on them, say twice a week. Ideally it would be every day, and I hardly ever wash his paws, but I do make sure that they're dry. So if they're going out very muddy areas and you're not bothered about mud around the home, that's fine, but make sure the paws are dry. So even if you get a kitchen towel, which is another tip, if they don't like you touching their paws, then yeah, like get some oil on a kitchen towel, like sunflower oil, and just go ahead and maybe like ask for the paw, just rub it quickly, but nothing too invasive. I did make the mistake, I think, of prolonged Dexter's progress with being happy with me touching his paws, because I would take advantage of when he was like chilled out. Like right now, he's chilled out next to me, he feels safe, he's sleeping. If they are in pain and discomfort and you touch their paws when they're relaxed, when they are less able to fight back because they're sleeping and you're just so desperate to help them, that's not going to help their anxiety overall, and it's not going to help their anxiety with their paws being touched. And it might even lead to an escalation in their no. They might have to make their no louder or feel more on edge around you when they're sleeping, and we just don't need to do it. I did it a little bit here and there because I was desperate to help him, and I did regret that because he didn't make me regret it. He could have, but there's another way to do it, which is just counter condition, get those oily hands and just get that paw for that treat, and they will learn over time that you touching their paws is just a-okay. And just a final disclaimer, if your dog's paws are bleeding, if they are cracked, if they are weeping, if the skin is broken in any way, just please go to the vet and don't listen to anything I said, unless the vet agrees. And that's it. So in a nutshell, first of all, you want to commit every single day. You want to get those paws clean and dry and coconut oil or shea butter on them. Be careful if you have hard floors. Be sure to blot the excess oil off of their paws. Lots of rewards, lots of treats for, if they're nervous about you touching them. Double check with the vet if you think that they have a secondary yeast infection. And I will also put a link in the description of the company I used in the UK to send his fur to. It didn't take long at all. And as bizarre as the results were, they were insanely accurate. It definitely worked for us. So that's basically all I've got. And yeah, I hope you stuck around to the end. This was my first video, so it was a bit orcs. But yeah, like, share, subscribe, and I'll see you soon. Bye. He didn't bark.